Nikola Tesla, the man who electrified the world, then disappeared into myth. Most know his name. Some know his inventions. But almost no one knows what he truly believed, not just about energy and machines, but about us, about life, about consciousness, about where we came from and why we're here. This is not a story about electricity. It's a story about vibration, about frequency, about a pattern Tesla saw running through everything from atoms to galaxies, and how that pattern pointed him toward an unthinkable conclusion, that humanity, consciousness, perhaps even the universe itself, was designed. And not by chance. Tesla was not religious. He was not mystical in the traditional sense. But he believed, deeply, that behind the visible world there was a blueprint, a source, an intelligence not bound by biology, ego, or time. Something we might call God. But Tesla had a different word for it. The core. He said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." For Tesla, the mind wasn't something inside the skull. It was something connected, something that could be tuned like a radio, aligned to a higher frequency. And that frequency, he believed, held the answers to everything. Let's rewind. Tesla was born during a lightning storm in 1856. That alone feels symbolic. As a child, he claimed to see flashes of light before ideas came to him, not daydreams, but vivid, perfect visions of machines, formulas, and future events. When he was asked where these visions came from, he said, "They just appear, fully formed." He never drew blueprints. He didn't sketch drafts. He built everything in his mind first, down to the smallest component. Then, when it was perfect, he created it in reality. This wasn't memory. This wasn't logic. It was something else. And as he grew older, he began to wonder, what is this place I'm tapping into? Why do some people have these abilities and others don't? Could this be trained, amplified, understood? He started studying the invisible, energy, magnetism, light, sound. But he also studied ancient texts, Pythagorean math, Sanskrit writings, even the Vedas. Not out of superstition, but because he believed ancient civilizations had knowledge that modern science had forgotten. Knowledge based not on belief, but resonance. To Tesla, the universe was not made of particles. It was made of waves. He said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Think about that. Everything, solid, liquid, gas, is just vibration at different rates. Atoms vibrating, molecules oscillating, light waves, sound waves, even thoughts he believed were waves. And just like a piano string can be tuned to the right note, Tesla believed the human mind could be tuned to the right frequency to receive truth. This is where it gets strange. Because Tesla began to suspect that all intelligence, human, animal, universal, came from the same source. That thoughts were not created in the brain, but transmitted into it. That we, as humans, are not originators, we are receivers. Imagine a radio. It doesn't create the music. Captures it, amplifies it, plays it. The song was always there. The radio just tuned in. Tesla believed that the mind worked the same way. He said, "The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being. I know my power comes from this source. I do not own it. I merely receive it." And the more he explored this idea, the more he saw confirmation everywhere. The structure of the human body, the flow of electricity, the movements of the planets, harmonic ratios in nature, spirals in galaxies, DNA, hurricanes, the golden ratio in sunflowers and pine cones. Everything in creation, he realized, followed the same mathematical language. It wasn't chaos. It was order. And that order, that perfect symmetry, led him to believe that we weren't the result of a cosmic accident. We were the result of intelligent design. Not necessarily by a man in the sky. Not by a bearded figure throwing lightning bolts. But by something that operates through law. Through frequency. Through the geometry of the cosmos. Tesla wasn't trying to start a religion. He was trying to show that science and spirituality were never enemies. They were two sides of the same equation. He once said, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." He believed this so fully that he began designing machines not just to transmit electricity, but to transmit thought, to amplify the human mind, to elevate consciousness. His most mysterious invention? The magnifying transmitter. Officially, it was a giant coil designed to send energy wirelessly through the earth. But unofficially, Tesla believed it could do much more. He wrote in his private notes that this device could influence weather, affect human emotion, even unlock psychic phenomena. He never said this in public, it would have ruined him, but he hinted at it. Subtly. And when he began building Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, he wasn't just trying to deliver free energy. He was trying to build a planetary tuning fork, something that could harmonize all living beings to a higher frequency. The tower was nearly complete. Then, the funding vanished. J.P. Morgan, once his backer, suddenly pulled the plug. When Tesla asked for more money, Morgan replied, "If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter?" Free energy was a threat to profit. But deeper than that, what Tesla was proposing threatened the very idea of control. Because if humans could connect directly to universal knowledge, what need would they have for intermediaries? For gatekeepers? For institutions that claimed to own the truth? Tesla was silenced. His lab was seized. His papers were taken. Wardenclyffe was demolished. And yet, he continued. In the shadows, in small notebooks, in hidden correspondences, he continued. He kept researching what he called cosmic intelligence. He experimented with vibrations on the human body. He observed how different frequencies affected mood, perception, even dreams. He believed certain frequencies could awaken dormant parts of the mind. He believed intuition was a real sense, not magic, but information received from the field. He became more isolated, more focused. By the end of his life, he was a man out of time, still speaking of invisible forces while the world obsessed over visible things. He died in 1943, alone in a hotel room, his body found days later. The FBI seized all his documents. Many were never released, but some survived. And in them, you find a map. A blueprint of how Tesla saw the universe, not as a machine, but as a mind. Not as cold, random chaos, but as structured intelligence. He believed we are all part of a signal, a frequency, and that by tuning ourselves, through intention, through understanding, through harmony, we could rise. Not physically, but mentally, spiritually. He said, the individual is ephemeral, races and nations come and pass away, but man remains. He believed the true evolution of humanity was not in our tools, but in our consciousness. That we are here not to survive, but to remember. To rediscover what we already know deep inside. That we are not separate from the universe. We are the universe. Just right.